Hello and welcome to another video. In this video we're going to be going over Excel sheet column title. So in this problem you're given an integer and you want to return its corresponding column title as it appears on the Excel sheet. So for example, A should be 1, B 2, C 3, Z 26, A 27, 28. So the difference between this and a base 26 implementation essentially is what you're trying to achieve is in the base 26, A is 0, B is 1, C is 2, and so on. So we have like a base 27, but not quite because A is 1, Z is 26, and there's nothing as 0. So we need to basically kind of have like a pseudo base 26 implementation, base 27 implementation, but not exactly. And so the only trick we really need to know is how to convert numbers from the base 27 to this like Excel, or from the Excel base 27 to a base 26 implementation essentially. And so it's pretty straightforward. When you have a number, you will first subtract 1, and then you will add A's ASCII value. So another thing you're going to want to know is there are two Python operators that are good to know. So there's ORD, where if you give it a character, like let's say A, it will give you the ASCII value. So I think A is like 64. And then there is CHR, which is the reverse of that, where you give it 64, and it will give you A. And so those are going to be important to know. So our algorithm is going to be pretty straightforward. It's going to be, we have some number, let's call this column number. Let's say it's 1 here. And we are going to subtract 1. And then we're going to say, this is going to be in a while loop, like while our number exists. So while our number exists. And it is a little tricky. Like honestly, the hard part about this problem is like kind of understanding what to use in your conditions, because it's a little tricky with the -1 and like, do I mod, do I divide? The actual algorithm itself, like once you see it, it's like almost no code, but it's just kind of tricky to figure out like where exactly do I need my numbers, you know, like how exactly do I get everything to match up? But yeah, so for 1, you would say like, okay, we have 0, and then we're gonna have some output called like res, which is gonna be an array. And so we have 0. So then what we're going to actually do is we're going to take whatever our number is, we're going to mod it by 26. So 0 mod 26 is going to be 0. And then we are simply going to add the ASCII value for A to it, and then we'll change that back into a character. So we'll just say like 64 plus 0, change that back into a character. We will get A here, and then we're going to put that into the result. And then our result array is essentially going to be backwards. So let's go through the second example and let's do the same thing. So we have 28. Okay. And then we'll go through this last one as well. Okay, so for 28, we are going to subtract 1. We're going to get 27. Okay, we're going to have a result as well. And we're going to keep doing this until our result is 0. Like, we're gonna get characters until our result is 0. Okay, so now let's think about, like, what do we need to do? So we have 27. Now we are going to mod it by 26. We're going to get 1. And this is why we needed that... This is why we needed that conversion from B equals, so in Excel, B equals 2, 3, A, B, C. So A equals 2, but we want B to equal 1 for our implementation to do this modding. So we're going to get 1, then we're going to say, okay, what's the ASCII value for A? 64 plus 1, 65. Then we're going to take that and make that go back into a letter. So character 65 is going to be B. We're going to add B to our result in backwards order. So we're gonna keep appending our new letter. So we're gonna have a B here. So we're actually gonna be appending it normally, but then we are going to be reversing later. But I'll show you what that means. So okay, so we have 27. We got the B. Now we have to do 27. Now what do we do next? We have to divide by 26. So we divide by 26. We get 1. And now we do this again, right? So we have 1, we subtract 1, we get 0, and then we do this mod 26, and we get the letter A when we do that. So our letter A will be over here, and now our number is 0, so then we're done, and now we get our output, and we're just going to return that in reverse order. And we can do this for ZY as well for this last example. Let's actually delete some of this, and then I'm going to write down just like the overall steps to make it a little bit easier. So let's do this last example for ZY. So we have ZY, we have 701, and we will subtract 1, and we're going to get 700. Now we need to mod it by 26. So let's mod it by 26. So we have 700 mod 26. equals, I wrote the mod backwards or whatever. Okay, we're gonna actually pull up the calculator here. Can we do this? We can do it like this. We can do 700 divided by 26 is 26, so we'll do 726 times 26. Okay, 676. So 700 mod 26 is gonna be 24. Okay, now we are going to take A and add 24. So that means if A is 0, 24 will actually be the 25th character. So A plus 24 will actually give us Y, right? It'll be the 25th character, which will give us Y. Okay, now that we did that, we're going to put Y into our result. So let's make a result here. And we're going to put in Y. Okay, now we take our 700 and we divide by 26. So we do a lower divide. And that is, as I showed you earlier, it was 26. Okay. So now that we have 26, we do this again. We subtract 1, we get 25. And then what's A plus 25? So that is going to give you the character for Z, right? So that will give you the character for Z. Because Z will give you, like, 25 will be Z, A will be 0. Right? Because it's 0 index now. So Z isn't the 26, it's the 25th because A is the 0th character. So we get Z. Now we put the Z in here. And then finally we do 25 divided by 26 and we get 0. So now we're done. And notice our result is once again in backwards. So let's write down our generic steps. Okay. So for the generic steps, it's going to be loop while number is greater than 0. And then in the loop, we're going to have subtract 1 from the number to account for Excel 1 column start, right? Instead of a 0 index, a 1 0 index, 1 indexing. Okay, now we mod number by 26 and add to ord of A, then get character from that. Okay, and like if our number was 0, ord of A plus 0 would give us A. If our number was 1, ord of A plus 1 would give us B, and so on. It's just how far away you are from A. So you don't need to know the ASCII value for A per se. Okay, and then we floor divide the number by 26. And then finally, we return result array backwards joined, because we're gonna have an array of characters. You don't want to just keep adding to a string in Python, right? You're making a new string, so we're just gonna what's it called? We are going to reverse the array, and then we're gonna join the array, and then we're gonna return that. Okay, so let's code that up. Okay, so we're gonna say result equals an array, and we're gonna say while column number. Okay, and then we have to do column number minus equals 1, right? To account for the 0 indexing. Okay, and then we have to do a result dot append, and this is going to be character of ord A plus, and this is going to be column number mod 26. Okay, so we're essentially taking A, we're adding this mod, and then that'll be like the new character that we're adding to our result array. Now we have to change our column number, so column number lower divide by 26. And now finally we need to return, so we're going to join this array, but first we need to make it go backwards. All right, so we're going to join this array, but we need to make it go backwards, and to make it go backwards in Python, you just simply do this. Okay, let's test it out. So this is the reverse. And so that did work, and you can see that it's reasonably efficient. It's kind of weird. Like, I think it's all over the place. I think most people also use like an O of N solution. So if you just like submit, it's all over the place, because I think everyone has roughly the same solution, or at least close to it. So, okay, so let's think of the time and space here. So for the time, if you think about it, we have our number, right? We have a number, and we're just dividing by 26 each time. So this is kind of like a log base 26. But in a log, you don't really differentiate like what log base, like a normal binary search and all those are log base too. But as long as you have a logarithmic function, it's just logarithmic. So the time is going to be log of n to get down to like that number, right? But we do also have to join this result. And so what's that going to be? Well, that's also going to be actually, like, if you think about it, the number of characters, there's a character for each one of these. So it would be log n characters as well, if you think about it. So to do this, join this result, it would also be log n. So this would just be log n. Like this array would be log n length, essentially, and then we're just, you know, reversing it, which would be log n, and then we are joining, which would be log. They would be n, but n, like the value of that length of the array is log n. So it would just be like something like 3 log n or something for our time. Okay. Now for the space, if we're not including our result array, we are actually not using any other variables. We're just doing this column number in place, and we are just using this result array. So this would actually be O1 space. But yeah, I think the hard thing about this problem is just like figuring out. I do think it's a little bit tougher than an easy problem. It's like an easy problem with a trick. Is like to figure out like how exactly do I get my indexing to work where my numbers match up. Like so I really don't like this problem, to be honest. But you know, I mean, I guess maybe if you use Excel, you've seen like these formulas, so it's a little bit more intuitive. But it's not super intuitive to figure out that like you need to subtract 1 because like you can understand that they're not exactly correctly indexed. So I think if you did get a problem where A was 0 and Z was 25 and so on, right, indexing, that should be like really straightforward, and that would be like an easy problem for sure, because then all your stuff matches up. But this one little change is a little tricky. Like, where do I need to subtract? What do I need to divide by? And there are like alternates of this problem. Like I think I've seen a problem like this on Code Forces that had like a go back and forth. And honestly, I don't think it's super easy because there are like a decent amount of edge cases you have to look for. But I guess that this one's not as hard as that one. But yeah, I will say, not a huge fan of this one, but this is how you do it. So if you did like the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.